Well, hello. I'm waiting for people to get in. We will wait for some people to pile in. I promised you I would be back, and here I am. We are waiting for people to come. I'm going to be playing an interview with, B-Dog, hi. Traffic was bad, but here. Doc Honeycutt, hello. Jersey Joe, hi. Yeah, I'm going to wait a few minutes for people to get here, and then I'll get right into the video. This is an interview with Derek Johnson. I found it to be very interesting. Rubbernecker, hi. Has been looking forward to hearing this. I hope it lives up. I liked it. I thought that it answered some of the questions I was having. So, interesting. I guess we don't really, like we've been saying, it's confusing to figure out if what we're watching is a script being played out, or sometimes it's obvious because it's just so ludicrous that it's gotta be. And it's gotta be a comedy. But we shall see. Hi, Diane Valenzuela. Sherry, hello. Marilyn Ponomarenko. Hi, Marilyn. I gotta see. This is it's gonna be about an hour and 10 or 12 minutes. The interview, the show is, so say about an hour and 10 minutes. All right, I'm gonna get right into the video. If people want to join us, they will. But let's get right into the video.
It's a very, very real thing that you're doing for people, for these dear people, especially the ones in Uganda. We do more there than any other place. But thank you so much for donating continually and monthly to keep this everything happening with the profits, and then with the cups of cold water throughout the nations. And we're now, we're doing anti-trafficking and restoration after trafficking. So really important things are being done here. We appreciate it very much. All right, time to. That's great. Hey, Derek, I see you're out and about in your vehicle today.
Yeah, I apologize, but yeah,
that's all right. We'll live this time. So yeah, so you're heading on out now. Is it a secret that you're heading out towards Mar-a-Lago or what?
No, it's not a secret, but yeah, I just got invited again. We're gonna go to a little event on the 25th. So I've done lost track of the date. So I guess that's in 2 days, I believe, and then the rest is just dinner. So
nice.
Nothing secretive.
Yeah, well, I haven't been able to go myself yet. That'll be a blast one day if I get to visit there. So, you and I were talking. You said it's like a, because it doesn't look like a fortress. It looks like a resort, but it's kind of it's more of a fortress by the way you're describing it.
Well, yeah, a lot of people, there's a lot of patriots out there. Oh, is President Trump really there? Is he this? Is he that? And I'm like, I think people are getting too deep in some things, but when you go there, it's really awkward how you get in there. It's like I said, the bat side's on water, so it's a whole different kind of defense.
Yeah.
And then the other three sides, one has a house next to it, whom forever gets the bragging rights that they live beside the greatest show on earth.
Yeah.
And then the other sides are really, I don't know, it's just hard to describe it. Anybody can drive by there if you're there, but there's a wall and there's a gate there, two gates. It's barricaded. It's got those, I call them deer stand on wheels. It's what, in the South, but it's got the little defense portals, or whatever you want to call them. I don't even know this. They're portable, houses
So
on
like
wheels.
observation towers or
But
something.
it's like a portable tower, a little
Yeah.
tower, and they're everywhere. You see those in the malls. If people even shop at malls anymore, you see them in the malls during Christmas time. They'd set up all the security. Well, these are perched everywhere, so you're not getting in there no matter what. You're going to be met with swift force if you're one of those who wanted to even try to barricade in with a vehicle. So it's well protected. And the Trump International is the same way. The golf course, there's a wall around it that looks like the border wall. So it's well secluded.
Nice.
It's not no, but it's beautiful too. That's the other thing, is like, it's not huge. So you people hear Mar-a-Lago, and then I think they hear it so much. It's kind of like you used to, like, old movies and Clint Eastwood and all these people, and then you find out they're only 5'6", and you're like, wait, what? Like, they look big on TV, right? Not knocking people who are short, but you just some of these people, they made them think they were like walking tall, like they were 6'8", and they're like massive. So Mar-a-Lago is deceptive. When you pull in, you're like, wow, it's like this, but then it goes back. There's a lot of stuff in the back, but it's very beautiful. It's hardly describable.
Well, it's neat. I'm very glad that the president has probably a security second to none in the world, would be my guess.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot of people don't like to say gunning for them, but literally there's probably always some plot. Hopefully they foil every last one of them. So let's jump in and talk about a couple things. You were talking online about that what's going on in Ukraine is not nearly what everybody thinks is going on in Ukraine. Talk about that for a while and build a case for it, because you and I were talking about it off the air a little bit. It's like if it was really going on what people think are going on, it would look a lot different. What wouldn't it? Talk about that.
Well, you don't have to go too far back with Ukraine as far as like massive history, but with any patriot, or also someone who is not on the patriot side yet, like someone who technically what we call a sleep, or a normie is what the joke is out there. And we're not trying to be insulting to anybody, but I'm like, it's one of those things where I tell people all the time, you can't be a dime store politician. You can't wake up one day and say, I'm going to look at this and then put it down the next and then pick it up the next, unless you have a brain kind of like mine, where you can take a break in a different manner, but always have the base model there. And a lot of people don't have the base model. And the base model, like I even told my dad, I'll use someone that's like dear to me as a guinea pig. My dad is 81. He is a Vietnam vet. He's Air Force veteran. Loves this nation. Will fight for. He would drop everything right now and fight at 81. He can get about, but he can't get about like he could when he was in the Air Force. Let's just be honest. But he would, in his capacity, he'd be full speed and try. He would defend this nation at his capacity. All right, with others. I say that to say, my dad was one of the hardest ones to get to see. He loved Trump, absolutely. Oh, that's his guy. Oh, he when President Trump rode down that escalator, that's my man. That's my vote. That's him. From day one, without knowing everything that was put into place. That's the other thing. President Trump used a lot of laws that were already on paper. Absolutely. But you'll hear some podcasters out there, and I'm not knocking them, but you'll just hear them say, well, I've been awake for years. Well, you've been awake on certain things.
Yeah.
But the laws and the orders in place that outline what is going on in Ukraine, what is going on in Iran, what's going on in Israel, those didn't come about until Donald John Trump. So you don't have to go far back. You just have to be willing to look at the blueprint and the model. So with Ukraine, there's a lot of history there. You see people on Facebook, they'll change their little Facebook, put a little flag on their picture, and they have no clue where Ukraine even really is. All right, so that's the entity we're trying to get to right now, saying, look, you don't have to go too far back, but the capitulation tour, we were just talking about the fortress, we're talking about the fort, we're talking about security. President Trump would have never been able to do everything that he's done against the corporation of DC, but also the world corporation, had he not had a massive world military backing him and also our military. There's no way, because he didn't just go up against the swamp. He didn't just go up against DC, the politicians. He went up against the global elitists of the world.
Wow.
So, and everybody's still not hanging on to, we have it all. We've caught them all. He said that 4 years ago. Now, what people do is they'll say, well, that was 4 years ago. Why has it been 4 years and nothing's happened? Because you're not seeing the operation. This is a military operation first. The continuity of operations for the government is second. That keeps everything going. But there's a military occupation going. The capitulation tour that President Trump went on, Russia, very key. We're going to pull that one in, but Saudi Arabia, North Korea, China, those were all a capitulation. That's chapter 12 of the Law of War Manual that defines what a capitulation is. It's basically a surrender. It's not a white flag of surrender, what they call a white flag of truce, which is also in the Law of War Manual, but it's saying that we will come up under your authority and do what you want us to do. It's a capitulation in a different manner. This happened in World War II, and it put them in like a puppet state. That's what they called them back in World War II, were puppet states, where they adhered to our military in that manner. So 2018, we're going to stop and pause that. Hold on to that nugget. This is key with Ukraine. This is key with Ukraine. 2018 is key. But back up just a little bit. You got to have something that gives you a reason to go do an operation or to do something of that nature. In 2014, ladies and gentlemen, Obama had 4 executive orders on Ukraine. Unusual and extraordinary threats with Ukraine in 2014. Also in 2014, this all happened in 2014, these things. Also, there was an election in Ukraine. They only had 1 of 2 rounds. They didn't have the 2 rounds. They have 1 of 2 rounds, and they got the president in Ukraine that they wanted. Who's they? The corporation. All right. That's Victoria Nuland, who was working for the administration, Obama administration at that time. She secured $1 billion, billion, as President Trump says, billions of dollars in Ukraine, $1 billion in defense. The same time period, she was caught on tape, because they audio all these things. She was caught on tape when it was running and didn't know it was running. And they verified this. Absolutely. It was her. This was not some, political game. She was on tape saying F-U-C-K, F, the EU, the European Union, all right, which would have been their own type of people. All right, so she's saying that. Also in 2014, Vice President Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., old Joe Biden, Vice President, made 7 trips in 7 months' time to Ukraine on your taxpayer dollar.
Gee.
All right. So that was all in 2014. Now let's have the fun. This is where the fun begins. All right. So move forward to 2018. Ukraine broke a treaty with Russia. It's called a CIS treaty. You can look that up. And I have that in my documents, all outlined. But the CIS treaty in 2018. What happened in 2018? A little soccer ball came into the picture where Vladimir Putin handed this soccer ball to President Donald John Trump in 2018.
Very famous.
There's your capitulation right there. There's the ball's in your court. It's an optic. The ball's in your court. What do you want us to do, sir? Oh,
Dude,
what did President Trump say the most? I didn't start any wars. So what did he do? He got Russia to go into Ukraine for the biochemical labs that we were most certainly funding. The United States, before they deleted this, and people don't have to believe me, that's fine, because most people don't with anything that looks Photoshop, but I went on before they deleted them way back in 2020 and found the documents on the United States Embassy in Ukraine, the documents where we were most certainly funding the biochemical labs in Ukraine. All right, I have those in there. Now, people don't have to believe it. That's fine, but it's all going to come out anyway because that's what they're in there for. So hang on to that little. There's the soccer ball. The ball's in your court. I didn't start any wars. Russia goes into Ukraine because why? The Soviet Union. Remember in '89 and the Soviet Union and the big bust then, right?
Yeah.
So what was that under? The corporation. Right, that should have never happened to any of those nations because of why? That was the corporation doing their little thing, busting up even more. So fast forward all these years, right? I didn't start any wars. So Russia goes into Ukraine. They're not bombing the people. They're not bombing innocent. They're not killing innocent people. They're taking out biochemical labs. And that was also documented all over. I have an app you can go to that's documented live, Google Earth. And it shows things that where the Russians have taken and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right. But it also showed that they were in all the cities that have what? Biochemical labs. Okay. Well, then fast forward to 2021, where everybody thought Biden was inaugurated. What are the odds that Victoria Nuland is his undersecretary? Same Victoria Nuland from 2014. Fast forward. All right. All throughout 2021. On the news, Fox and everything else that people been watching, all right, what did they tell you? There are no biochemical labs in Ukraine. The Biden administration has maintained that from 2021 to early 2022. They'd said, no biochemical labs, no biochemical labs. There are none. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. That's this, that. All that was throughout 2021, all right? March the 8th. I'm going to skip one little thing real fast. March the 8th, 2022. Guess who's under oath in a congressional hearing, under oath in a congressional testimony? Victoria Nuland. And who's grilling her? Marco Rubio. This is all recorded. All right. Marco goes, are there biochemical labs in Ukraine? March the 8th, 2022. Yes, but we were afraid the Russians were going to get them. Oh, they got them all right. Oh, yeah, they got them. All right. But here she is under oath, testimony. Victoria Nuland from 2014, now the undersecretary for Biden, saying there are, in fact, biochemical labs.
They were denying it until they were under oath, and then she had to basically tell the truth.
Well, once again, this is all part of the operation. See, this is all. I know people get tired of hearing a movie and theatrical, but it is. Because it did just 2 weeks before that oath. What happened? That's when Russia declared war on Ukraine. 2 weeks, right around 2 weeks, about 13 days somewhere there. Before that oath is when Russia went into Ukraine. Now, what's the importance of that? See, I let people think just for a moment before I say it. Most people who've heard me, they already know. But think about this. The World Cup of soccer, all right, is probably the biggest thing in Europe because they love soccer.
Yeah.
I personally, I'll probably lose followers for this. This is fine. But I personally would rather watch wet paint dry than watch soccer. All right.
That's good.
That's me.
Yeah.
I would literally watch wet paint dry before I watch. But football, that's theirs. American football, when it looks like when it looks like it's not rigged to me, I'll watch it. I'll watch Alabama play and a lot of other colleges, Ole Miss and different people. I'll watch them play. But that's the biggest thing, a big thing to a lot of Europeans is the World Cup. Who didn't play in it in 2022? Russia. See that soccer ball now? That soccer ball has a whole lot of different meaning.
Oh, look at that. Oh, interesting. Wow.
See, because once again, they sacrificed something they absolutely love because of a world operation taking place.
Right. And did they purport publicly a reason why they weren't playing?
No, and the other thing that was funny, or irony, coincidence, is Zelensky wanted to have a video played at the World Cup, and the president of the World Cup denied it. Said, nope, which that should show everybody, right? So if people could just hop on the military, I said yesterday on a podcast, I had an accounting professor who made me love accounting. I hated it in my undergrad. Hated it. I have the brain for it, but I just hated it.
Yeah.
But she always did this. She wore a ball cap. She brought a ball cap to class, the first class. She said, I'm going to teach it. We're going to be the class. We're going to be the hat. You got to put the hat on. What a lot of people are doing right now are not putting a hat on that this is a military operation. So that therefore you got to go look at military laws, military orders, military publications. All the publications outline what's going on in Israel. It outlines what's going on in Iraq. It outlines what's going on. 5 years ago, 2019 publications outline what's going on right now to the T, to this day, in Iran, in Israel. And people, if they don't read, how are they going to know? It's like the Bible. I've heard Christians all my life say the Bible don't say that. I'm like, it most certainly does say that. Whatever it could be, whatever it is they're saying. Oh, God didn't say that. God wouldn't do that. Well, he most certainly did right here, right? So it goes back to that. Now, I tell people what I'm doing right now is not do it. I'll give an opinion if people want it, but my opinion has a law and a foundation. I might be wrong with my opinion, but my opinion is going to come back to what, that law said this, and this order said that, and it didn't go like I thought it would, but that doesn't matter. My foundation's built on law and order that's in place right now. The same way one of my preacher friends says, well, if you ask me what I think about God and Christ and what this, at least I'm going to show you with scripture first, and then I'll say what I think. But if I'm wrong, then I'm human. But at least I have a foundation. A lot of people don't have that, and they're not putting a hat on and seeing the military occupation. A military occupation is martial law. That's what an occupation is. It is martial law. But people say, well, why didn't the president tell us? Well, why would the president tell you that the enemy's at your door, right? Why would he tell you that? Like if an enemy slipped in and they're at your door, why would they panic you? Instead going, hey, I know how to take that enemy out without telling them that the enemy's on their door, right? It's kind of like, hey, don't look down. Don't look down. Why? Don't even do that, because people are going to do what? They're going to look down, right?
Let's talk about for a minute, Derek, that we talked about this before he came on there, that there are overflights over Ukraine of commercial airlines. Wait a minute. If there's a war going on, what are commercial airliners flying? What is it that you were pointing out the other day about that?
Well, the military side of it is that in a war zone, especially a war that they've see the optics of it's what people are also having trouble with.
Yeah.
A lot of people see all these stories with Ukraine. Well, why are we giving them money? And why is this? You're falling for the distraction part. Where you go back here and look at the law and order in place and see the strategy and what they're doing. They're seeing who will take the bait with the money, right? They're cleaning out the second generation. They took out the senior leaders. Now they're working all the way down. This is an all-out, like President Trump said. He said, even I didn't realize how deep the swamp actually is. He admitted that on video. And that's not a personal conversation. He said that in a rally speech, right? That was a speech. He said, even I didn't realize how deep the swamp actually is. So they would have taken out the senior leaders way back here. Now they're going there. This is a full-fledged operation, and they're going as low as they can go and as deep as they can go. and getting out all the people who would have taken those spots. Because in military, Navy SEAL Mike Jaco, we talked about this the other day, SEAL Team 6 member. We talked about this. In history, it's been in people's faces to go, oh, we're taking out Saddam. Well, everybody's like, why take out him? Because all that's going to happen is the next guy down is going to step up and take the whole regime. Taking out one don't do anything. You got to decimate evil, as President Trump said. He said we're going to decimate street crime by 75 and 85%. Well, street crime, people think of, robberies. No, that means a lot of stuff, because his war that he declared is on trafficking, which is a whole different kind of war. It's not a foreign corporation war. That's why it's key to pay attention to details and terminology. So to get back to Ukraine and understand why there wouldn't be commercial aircraft in Ukraine is because what have they shown everybody? They've shown everybody my MOS that I served in the Army. They have shown everybody that we're sending all these Stinger missiles, these Patriot missiles, and all these things to Ukraine. A Patriot they intercept missiles and things of that nature. All right. Well, that wouldn't be what you want to see in a different manner, because once again, if there are, in fact, and I believe there are, and I know there are, the biochemical labs, which were doing what? Funding all kinds of other things like child trafficking and sex trafficking and human trafficking. All that stuff funds that. All right. So when you understand the war that's going on, if Biden, that's what they're doing, is making Biden look like he's funding the bad dudes like that, and then still seeing who's going to take the bait. So a buddy of mine's a finance guy, and I give him shout outs all the time. Super brilliant finance guy. We were talking about this, and I made this post last night, is that President Trump knows a loan, it can't be repaid. So it's got to be deferred. So see, but you got to get into actual financial terms. So that's also why they wanted President Trump as well, because he's such a businessman, right?
Yeah.
So he's getting cross collateralization on who's doing what. So he's got them always. And all he has to do is call it anytime he wants. Just that's why he says what? I will prevent World War III. I can also stop the war in Ukraine and Russia in what? Less than 24 hours. So you always got to go back to listen to President Trump. All right. And then understand the operation that's going on. And then go, wait, veterans out there, especially all veterans, listen, when you apply and see the commercial aircraft with a Stinger missile, this ain't giving away secret information. A Stinger missile, it's a long missile, and it goes right on your shoulder, and you hold it. It's hard to say, but you hold it right here, and you got your hand up here. There's another handle up here.
Yeah.
But this thing right here, you lean back like that, and you lock in on the aircraft. All right. Once you hit this second trigger here, once it's locked in, it activates the little computer engine in there, and it starts spinning. When that happens, if you accidentally, and I say accidentally, if a commercial airliner came in your line of sight and that locked in on that commercial aircraft has not the capabilities to outrun that Stinger missile. It don't. And it don't matter if you go, well, I'm gonna wait until it's out of sight. It don't matter. That Stinger missile is going to track that aircraft. All right. That's why that's important to understand. If a Stinger missile, whether it be a friendly or enemy, if that ever happened in history where it took out an airliner, you know what kind of world, and it should be a world flip upside down, that would happen?
Yeah.
If that were the case. That's what people have to apply. You wouldn't have commercial airliners going across a war zone like they're showing right now. And this ain't the first time. I've got different aircraft going across Ukraine before yesterday. No one's paying attention. I say no one. Even the people who follow me don't apply that. That's a big deal. With what they've told you, the weapon systems that they've been sending to Ukraine, that's a big deal to show people, no, there ain't a war in Ukraine. They've been taking out the biochemical labs.
So they've been
all
telling
that's
us
an optic
for several years now that there's these, I mean, they're saying there's tens and tens and tens
Well,
of thousands of people that have died. Are there
oh, I
tens and
know.
tens?
No, here's the other thing. Everybody knows this in the world we live in. You see it on social media every single day. You can get on social media, especially Facebook Reels, and just scroll. You'll see somebody filming somebody that's in need of help, filming it before they're helping. All right. And we see this all over Facebook, and people in the comment box go, "Oh, so you're conveniently filming that, but you're not helping that person in need," right? And that could just be someone in a fight or someone stealing a purse, and we're not talking about a war, right? So how many smartphones are in the world? How many iPhones in the world? And there's not a single person in Ukraine that has leaked out a video or leaked out something taking place. I mean, for 2 years now. There's not a single video. And the media, people watch Fox News still. God love them, it's still watching that stuff. But the people who are still watching, they show the same pictures over and over and over and over again.
What about the purported tens and tens of billions of dollars that are being sent? Are tens of billions being sent somewhere?
No, because
so because I'm sitting here fuming sometimes at Mike Johnson. Why aren't you fighting this? Why are you sending more money? And you're saying, no, it's not happening.
All of Congress are under a continuity of operations. And that's why you always have to go back and understand what that capitulation tour was.
Yeah.
When people go read chapter 12 of the Law of War Manual, you don't have to read the whole thing. It's 1,254 pages. You ain't got to read the whole thing. Read chapter 11, but read chapter 12, and then go back and remember, President Trump didn't step in front of the Queen for no reason. He wasn't the first foreign leader in the Forbidden City of China in 500 plus years for no reason. He wasn't the first president walking to North Korea for no reason. All this Saudi Arabia, the sword dance and the crowning. Yeah. That's like crowning him king in a different manner. All right. And it shows just in 2020, I had to go back and look at the year, 2022 or 2023, it shows Saudi Arabia up doing a new act with or a new pact with Iran. Well, if you go back and you look once again at capitulation, go look at the laws and orders in place. The one that baffles me, and I just told a friend this other day. I was telling her, I said, don't you say a word before I say this, because I knew she was gonna laugh. I said, don't you say a word, don't you say anything. But I said it like that, and I said, if I sat in a room by myself, like this automobile I'm in, even by myself, in my own little mind, in my own little space, when I outline all the laws and orders in place, but from the military side, right. But then those 11 executive orders with 11 national emergencies, people have to understand what a national emergency is first, all right? And then you have to understand what an executive order with a national emergency are. That's very imperative, all right? When I think, though, that Biden, I'll play devil's advocate for people all the time. I'll say, okay, I'll play devil's advocate. Okay, let's say he's real. All right, if Joe Biden's real, and if Joe Biden's president, and I don't know anything I know in military laws and orders, which I served under, and I'm gonna die under. All right, I'm gonna die with an oath. I'm gonna get a military funeral. But let's say I don't know any of that. Okay, and I just went with, I know that Joe Biden has extended 1 year past the 2-year clause of an executive order with a national emergency. The national emergency is the one with the 2-year clause on it. The 2-year termination. If it's not resolved or revoked in 2 years, then you got to extend it. All right, yeah. or let it expire. Right? Why would Joe Biden? I sit in a room by myself and go, how is this so hard for people to understand? Why would Joe Biden extend the executive order with a national emergency that Donald Trump put into place called election interference? Why would he do that? He was the one in the 2020 election. It wasn't no one else. All right. And people think that election's forgotten about. It's not, ladies and gentlemen. That's what these trials are all about. That's also election interference. See, election interference isn't just at the ballot box. Election interference comes with a lot of different things that the corporations use for many, many years
Yeah.
to what? Get their people in the place, smear people, you know, smear campaigns. That's not part of politics. Now, you don't have to like somebody. That's fine, but you shouldn't smear them. It should be every man and every woman stand up on a podium, tell what their viewpoint is, and then you go, I align with that. I'm going to vote for them, right? Whatever that is. No matter what, we got to get back to that in the world. But right now, so if I'm sitting in a room by myself, I can laugh and smile and have the utmost peace by myself, even if the whole world hated me, right? If the whole world hated my guts, but I know what these laws and orders say. Why would Joe Biden extend 11 executive orders with 11 national emergencies by Donald John Trump that all, if you put Donald Trump and Joe Biden side by side, they would clash everywhere.
Yeah.
So why isn't Joe Biden revoking everything that
Well,
Donald
it
Trump
has to
put
be
into
that
place?
he's part of the same plan that Trump
He
is on.
is.
That's the only possible explanation, that they're
Well,
all playing on this sort of the same team, but they certainly argue enough in,
well, no, he's not. He's not. What they do is they take the word. He's a corrupt guy, right?
yeah,
If you go back on his history, so if there was a way to make a movie where you take your worst enemy
yeah,
and you know everything about them, but no one else does.
okay,
But you take them and you go, this guy, we're going to take the real guy out. We're going to put that through, and we're going to make everything known to man fall on him,
yeah,
on his watch.
yeah,
That's what they're doing. The Congress, Mike Johnson, your point about Mike Johnson, that's what I made that point about. Mike Johnson is in the continuity of operations plan. He's in the plan as well, right? So
yeah,
all of Congress is playing a role based on what's going on with the military and the laws and the orders in place. Because the laws and the order in place, once again, that has not been revised, revoked, rescinded, or mission accomplished, is the war on human trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking. It was child, sex, drug, and human.
Well,
All
and
right.
all of that
So
trafficking stuff, that's even as big or bigger of an issue than the biolabs, right? Including in Ukraine. They were trafficking there, isn't, because they could have taken out biolabs in 2 weeks in cities, biolabs in
oh yeah,
40 locations. You put SEAL teams on each one of them, in a couple weeks they're gone. So what's
yeah.
2 years? So what's 2 years then? This is more about
Well,
trafficking then.
well, that too, because the tunnels are everywhere, and they weren't just in North Korea. North Korea and Iran are known for their tunnels, and that's when you go look
Okay.
at the. I put up that on my pages, and it's easy to find. You can just go to Google and type in Iran, comma, .mil. Just do Iran.mil 2019. It'll pull out the PDF file of the publication by the United States Army, and guess what it has in there? It's going to blow people's minds because they've been hearing this terms called DUMBs,
Yeah,
deep underground military bases. All
right.
right. In this one PDF file, it's got the underground facilities. All right. It also has deception right beside it. All right. There's a column. It talks about
Yeah.
deception, then it talks about these. So it's got that. It also has air defense and unconventional warfare in there as well, which I talk about all the time. This is an unconventional warfare. It wasn't going to be where people saw boots on the ground like they thought they've heard their whole life,
Yeah.
and they've heard their cousins and heard, people who've been in the military about, but it wasn't going to be that. It's all subterranean warfare, which is outlined in
Well,
all
I
the
mean, that's the thing,
publications.
because when you say they got biolabs, I'm thinking, well, here's a building right there. Let's take out that building. You're saying, no, there's a deep underground military base by the bad guys with labs down under the earth or something. Is that right?
There are some of those, absolutely. There are some on the surface as well that have
Okay.
been taken out, but there's a lot that's underground that most people would never dream has been underground. Now,
Yeah.
there's certain things that are still, I wouldn't say classified necessarily, but there are some things that different military people know about that would be kind of classified in one way right now in a different manner to talk about. But once again, there are a
So
lot of
the
underground facilities.
and so back to Biden. So the fake Biden that's in there now, he's not really on the same team. You were correcting me on that. He's still a bad guy. He's still doing bad things. He has no choice but to
Well,
be. he has no choice but to be completely humiliated and wiped out, and because he's been cornered long ago, right? He's having to do what he has to do, but it sounds
Well,
like
he's not a real guy anyway. Like, so when I say there's a puppet in, which is they did this in World War II. For people who
yeah,
think this is so far fetched, they did this in World War II. It's a puppet
yeah,
state. But he is the fall guy in a different manner because of his history, right? If
okay,
you go back on Joe Biden's history, yes,
yeah,
but the actions that are taken, you'll hear people out there on podcasts say, well, the white hats did this today and the black hats did this. The military, we don't talk like that. We don't
yeah,
talk anything like that. We don't need, now, I let Lieutenant Colonel Bosey, because he's a lieutenant colonel, retired Australian Forces Special Operations, say those terms in my book because so many people are used to hearing that. So in
yeah,
order to really, if you're truly about people, then you cater to what they know and then hook them with the words they know, but then get them in and go, well, this is the military operation. But no, there's not any of that going on right now from the standpoint of like super political, like we've always had in our whole lifetime. You watching an operation that's now taking out the lower level guys. All these other people, Mike Johnson's, all these different people are playing a role until we get through this massive process. And it's outlined in the continuity directives. The federal continuity directives that show the continuity of operations in the Federal
yeah,
Register.gov. The dates of those were 2018 to 2022, the first one, and 2020 to 2024, the second. So there is a bookend timestamp that shows that the continuity of operation will be done 2024. Now, that don't mean no one knows if it don't have a date, like a month and a
yeah.
day. So,
I thought I was going to
yeah.
ask you that, Derek. So we've been doing this for 2 or 3 years now, and when you come on, I always get a new wake up call or additional information about it's never what it looks like on the surface, ever, ever, ever. But then at some point, this is going to sort of be beginning to wrap up. You mentioned 2024, and you also said you don't know when really it's going to wrap up because that's probably hidden information from you anyway. But we should be coming close to the
Well,
end game, right? Are we getting close
well,
to the end?
I tell people I take what President Trump and the military has already put out,
Okay.
and then connect the dots for everybody. That's put the hat on. I'm gonna connect the dots where they go. President Trump's the one that tells everybody 2024 is our final battle. He said November the 5th will be the most historic day in the
Yeah,
world.
he said it forever and ever. He
So,
keeps saying it. So what's happening November 5th from your chair? What do you think that means?
well, I don't, everybody wants to know we're going to have an election or not. And I'm like, well, I'm not worried so much to focus on that. I don't think that's the focus anyway. I think a lot of patriots are trying to hang their hat on knowing something or being right when that date comes to say,
Yeah,
I told you so. And this
yeah.
ain't an I told you so
Well,
moment
no, but when he
because,
says that
you know,
November 5, my gut is saying he's not talking about an election. He's talking about something else,
well,
you know.
well, the executive order 13848 with the national emergency in there of the election interference is very key because you had to have something on paper in
Yeah,
order to run an operation to get
yeah,
evidence to be able to show people. So everything, if people understand right now all this trial stuff,
yeah,
that's all a show to show that the most powerful man in the world, the most popular man in the world, he has an order back here that validates him. He has an order back here that says, we have it all. We've caught them all because I put this in way back over here before any election under his watch. That executive order was September the 12th, 2018, was 2 months before any election under President Trump whatsoever. That executive order, how did he know to declare a national emergency before all the other
yeah,
elections?
yeah. How do you answer that?
Right?
How do you answer
So,
that? Yeah,
so you tell people once again what was going on during that time period, the capitulation tour,
yeah,
everything was already in place, right? So I personally think that it's going to be the unveiling of what, because he said this on it's probably been about 4 or 5 months ago now, 6 months. He was on an interview. He said, yeah, I think 2024 will be a lot bigger than 2016. I don't know. The guy goes, yeah, I think so. That's all show. right? And then he goes, well, yeah, because it won't be traditional. And he stops, right? He goes, traditional. And then he deflects and he goes to a whole traditional, ladies and gentlemen, because they've already told you who's they, the military, who's they also, the news in part of this, 47 U.S. Code 606, because that's a wartime order. All right. So over here, the news is telling you in 2018, in 2020, and 2022 that the National Guard were at precincts during those election times. The National Guard, we don't get involved with civilian matters like that. We wouldn't have been out there because two Karens got in a fight over, hey, you looked over at who I was voting for, and that ain't what the National Guard does, right? We don't do that.
Yeah.
So they were telling, what does the National Guard do? We have analog systems, right? Not digital. Analog can't be hacked, so we could track the voting in live time and have the what? Evidence for whenever they unveil this to people. So all of this right now, everything everybody's watching outside of the war's one capacity. What you're seeing with executive orders, what you're seeing with President Trump is lassoing all the people and showing people, hey, these are the evil people of the judicial system. We're cleaning them out. I'm doing it. I'm going through it for you. So if the most popular man in the world and the president goes through it, hey, we don't have to worry about everything in between, right? They're cleaning it up. But it's also an operation to do what? He said it in that interview. He said, well, you're going to be able to see what all they have done under their rule. Rule is not law, right? So rule is a what? A monarchy term, meaning a dictatorship.
Dictatorial thing. Hey, let me ask this. People, including myself, even though I know you and I have talked many times, this is an operation, this is a plan, then you have things like nothing can stop what's coming. People would be inclined to think, poor Trump, how is he bearing up under this horrific warfare against him? Is it like that, or is he so just playing along that it looks like the poor guy, how could he bear up any more warfare against him? What would you say about that?
People got to remember President Trump also played in a movie, didn't he? Didn't he appear in Home Alone? Yeah. Now
was he in that one?
He was in Home Alone 2, I think, or one of those, or somewhere. Well, I'm saying though, look, this guy is a lot more brilliant than people can imagine. Okay. Not only is he a mastermind in finances and bankruptcies and things of that nature, because that's a business thing. See, that's the stuff I really laughed about way back when people, he filed bankruptcy. He don't know how to. Ladies and gentlemen, the first thing you learn when you go to get your MBA, you learn that bankruptcy is a strategy. It's not that you're broke, like some people when they file bankruptcy. It's not that. It's a business move. It's a business strategy. So you think of all the stuff he's done in his personal life, in the financial world over here, and then you come over here. He did what? Didn't he go to a military academy? One of those military academies where you leave home. You don't go home every day and see mom and daddy. You're at a military dorm style thing. So he has the foundation and the mindset of that disciplinary. He's also my dad's generation. They think completely different. They are business oriented, get it done. My dad to this day, it don't matter who you are. Let's go. Let's get it done. Get it moving. Let's go. Production. Let's get it done. President Trump, I never see. Have anybody ever seen him in a pair of blue jeans? At least a pair of no. Okay, the guy wears a suit and tie every single day of his life. All right, except for his golf attire, where he's wearing a polo shirt and slacks. He ain't even in khakis. Like, at least wear some khakis, right? So I bring humor into that to say, look, ladies and gentlemen, he's in a whole other league of his own. And then if you ever get around him, he is the most. He's business oriented, no doubt. He'll focus on you and listen. He's very keen and cordial, but he also is the DJ of his own, like the music at Mar-a-Lago. All right, and he'll look around to see who's looking. And he'll point at you if you're looking at him, and that is not a man. That's not a man. I tell people, if you can't understand the military operation, it's hard for me to talk like that because this is a military operation. But
he's so keenly in. It's like,
but devil's advocate.
He's not out of control, is he? He's in. Well,
no,
in other words,
if I'm playing devil's advocate, He's having fun. He's not a man that's worried about, oh, $375 million I gotta pay. You know what I mean? No,
Yeah, you know, and
no.
so, okay, let's talk for a minute about, I mean, I don't even know if you would know how to answer this. Some people say Trump is egging them on to get him arrested. He wants to be arrested. What do you think about that? Is that going to be part of his game plan to be arrested? Because it just accomplishes more of what he wants accomplished. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it could be. I mean, and then also that mud shot would be worth I don't know how many millions of dollars, but you know, I don't know what they're going to do with that. Like I said, I play each card as it's laid,
Yeah,
and then it's because you know what it could do is take him out of the picture in a different manner.
yeah,
That way the evidence could be presented in a different manner because this whole thing to begin with, like I show people, you give him 4 years visual. He
yeah,
goes in there, he lays out all these different laws and orders. The economy was booming. He never started a war. So he proved all these things to people. He was proving what the federal corporation had done. That's what the real proof is. The real proof, yeah, at the end of the day, for people who just don't want to read and don't want to see all this, it's their pocketbook. But in the reality, even if you don't want to read, you can apply that what he was doing was showing you what the corporation had done all these years. It wasn't a true checks and balance, right? So he goes in, does all these things for 4 years. He directed the Secretary of Defense equal authority in
right.
April 30th, 2020 to federalize the National Guard. So it's kind of like I have two different things that I think it could be. Well, one, I think he could have directed, which he did do, and then step back and not know anything. I don't buy that because he's so brilliant and he's so smart. I buy that he did everything visual, stepped back, but he's operating in a capacity where he delegated all of the generals, all of the minds in the military to handle the operation. Absolutely. But he's just a guy like my dad was. When my dad was a divisional manager for uh, Kimberly Clark, one of the biggest companies out there, is still
Yeah,
out there, one of them. He was divisional. He had all these people under him. He got to a point where he could. He could delegate everybody, all of his managers. He could go out on the golf course. Now, if a massive machine went down, one of those big machines, he'd get a call. If they couldn't handle it on the phone, he'd have to go back in. But he got to a place where he could go play golf every day, right, and go hunt when he wanted to. And then as long as everything was running in the mill properly, he could do what he wanted to do. President Trump the same way. He's a delegator. He delegate people, right? And
yeah.
who are the two most winningest coaches national championships in college football history? Alabama's got both of them. All right, Bear
Really?
Bryant and Nick Saban combined, they have 13 national championships. All right. Well, when you understand what they did, though, what was their formula to success? They coached coaches. Now they did go into units every day and watch what units were doing, and they could walk up to the player and go, "Hey, you're not doing this." But they coached the coaches. Their coaches were the ones calling the shots in the games, and then when one of those coaches called the wrong shot, what did Coach Saban and Coach Bryant do? They went to that coach and said, "What are you doing? Why'd you do that?" Right? They delegate. That's what President Trump's of
That's
that
good.
era delegation. And so you move him out of the picture where he
Yeah,
don't know. He knows certain things, absolutely, but no one finger can be pointed at him. It's an operation where everybody's involved, all different kinds of men and women, all different backgrounds, all different walks of life, all of the world operation as well, the world leaders. So there's no one can point a finger at President Trump and call him a dictator when this is all said and done because of how they did this.
well, no, I want to ask you this because this back way up on the capitulation tour. We played that movie. I think it was based mainly on a lot of it was based on your research, if I recall. Nick Alvear did it. Was that you? He based a lot of that on. I'm trying to remember which movie he made. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that
there's
was.
that capitulation
Mm-hmm.
tour. So what? Nothing was ever said, or that I can remember. Okay, because I'd have to go back and watch it again about what he had on all of these different world leaders, that this one capitulated, that Vladimir did, the king of Jordan did, everyone capitulated. What did he have on all these different people that they just kind of go, "You're up, Trump. It's all you now"? What do you have any insight on that? That was that one. I feel like using the word blackmail, but that's not the right word. He didn't blackmail him. He put him up against the wall or something.
Well, we're going to show the world what you're doing with your women and your children.
Okay, that's what it was.
Well, that's one of them. That's one of the big ones because that's what see. They'll hear President Trump speak to this day, and he says it in his speeches. And I will return all the children to their homes, to their families. He's not talking about the border. He's talking about the trafficking. All right. So this is and that's why this puts this. I say puts it. It's always biblical. But the biblical aspect is the most important aspect. Before I went viral, I sat down with a Marine Corps veteran, 17 years, Marine Corps, and that my family put me in front of. He asked me the most challenging, difficult, legal, lawful questions of the military first, outside of federal. This was at a church, small church in Alabama. I outlined everything, all the laws and order, everything. And he's 84 years old at the time, 86 now. He did like that. It's happening. It's happening. He did just like that. Yelled that in the church, right? Now we weren't in church, but like all the people were in a fellowship hall, right? Well, it's happening. Well, he told them the 200 generals comment was a comment that they had heard through all these years. The 200 generals said never again. So I say that to say he told me at the time no one knew me. He wanted to read my documents. I had those. I'd had those written. So I put him on the Google Drive. I saw him a week or two later. He said, "Son, you have everything."
Whoa.
Everything he said, "But I want you to add one thing in the front of those documents." He said, "At the very front, you said this is a historical monumental." He was like, "If you add biblical to the front of that, God's going to bless you, young man, because you have the whole." This was June 24th or 25th. I had to go back and look at the specific date. June 20th, somewhere in there, 24th of 2022, and I went viral August 2022. But I did. I started adding that on all the pages where I said that. And now I don't know. I just but God's going to do what He's going to do. I don't know if that was it.
Do you feel like? Of course, I saw you when you were going viral, like that weekend or whatever. Do you feel like it was only everything you did and it just went, or do you feel like the powers that be, I'm talking about the good guys, the white hats, got behind you and said, "Let's let this thing go far and wide," and they helped? Do you have any thoughts on that? Because you really went big fast.
It's been confirmed that they did intercept that. To me, I've been told by certain people from it's no secret too what Dr. Jan Halper Hayes is doing with the Department of Defense. So they're checking the climate of the people out there and what they're doing and what they're hearing and what they're believing. And so they're absolutely in control of all that. So I've been confirmed that they let it happen because they know who's telling what, they know who's telling it and how they're telling it. They're also watching people who are telling other things as well. That's why I tell people all the time, this is a military operation. So you got to be careful what you're presenting to people out there and if you're misleading people. But if you're misleading them and there's some kind of ulterior motive, they're watching people. There ain't no doubt about it. And this is also outlined there's an April 2016 Special Operations Command publication put out, and it's a diagram, and it shows unconventional warfare, but it's a diagram that I've put out on all my pages to say, read and study this. This is how the military operation thinks. And they did put this out to circulate with people, not just me. There's a few others. But I think that mine was the one that brought, mine is not mine because mine is President Trump. Mine is it's law and order. It's military laws and orders. It's nothing I wrote or passed, and it's not anything that one particular person did. It's a collection of what men and women have done with laws and orders out there. So mine is your blueprint that shows it ain't mine. It's President Trump and the operation. He's the face. He's not the only one around it, but he's the face. So it's that. So they absolutely. I've got to come now. you'd have to know the people that confirmed it with me to know that they are authentic, they are real, and they're in a real position. But yeah, I've been confirmed that.
You know, that's been said that Trump, I guess he's a fan of Sun Tzu, or however you say that, the art of war. Do you believe that part of his 5D chess playing includes that aspect that says basically never interrupt your enemy while they're in the middle of destroying themselves? It goes something like that. And the other one is uh, when you're strong, make yourself appear weak. That's paraphrase.
Weak.
Yeah.
Right.
Is he playing that game just naturally? I mean, I don't think he has to think about it. He's just naturally playing that game where they've been reporting to him on the Drudge Report the last week. He keeps falling asleep in court. He keeps falling asleep. They keep saying it. And I keep thinking, I don't think he's really falling asleep in court. They're either saying that or he's letting them see that. What are your thoughts about all that?
Well, he wrote his book, The Art of the Deal, which is, in business terms, it mimics the art of war. Like if you know, when he did that. So yeah, absolutely, he's doing that. That's because when people finally read what a military occupation is, it basically sets the parameters of the playing field, right? This is our operation. This is what we're doing. Here's the field of play, though. Then you got to look at the outline, like kind of like that. This is your parameter, right? So that's what they've done, and that's what he's doing. He's in the field of play right now, and so all that comes into, history does repeat itself. We've seen a lot of history repeat itself even throughout this World War II, the puppet states, the government in exile. All those are showing that the unconventional warfare, the irregular warfare. You look at all the different terms that are being used again. I mean, it's not, it's people want to reinvent the wheel a lot of times with where we are in life, and you just can't sometimes. War always has three main trajectories: it's power, resources, and territory. And through some resources would be money and land, and but that's still territory. But money and so this people try to reinvent the wheel all the time. It doesn't. Life doesn't do that. So he's absolutely playing this nostalgic kind of role where you do go, he has that look every now and where and then he has the look where he's like, he does all these things, right? It depends on what he's in and what situation, but he once again, we have it all, we've caught them all. I tell people all the time, if President Trump, there's someone out there saying that he took a deal. He didn't take a deal. These laws and orders show he didn't take a deal. So there's so many people out there doing that. Those people better be careful, once again. But President Trump, if he just said all those things, we have it all, we've caught them all, the best is yet to come. If he just said all that stuff and he walked away, knowing what was at stake, if that's what someone wants to go with, why would we want him back? Why would you want someone that had everything, knew everything, had all the goods, had all that, and showed a strength of force like nobody's business during the 4 years of visual? Why would you want that? That don't even make sense. First off, that makes my brain hurt to even make that kind of analogy, because I guess because I know everything I know that's in place, it's hard for me to go to another mindset. But why would you want someone who says all these things, does all these things, but would turn and walk away, and then, hey, I'm coming back though? It don't even make sense when you look at it like that.
How do you see this? I guess we're kind of running at the end of our time. How do you see things playing out for anything? Obviously, you're not giving secret information. So, what's your gut feeling about how this thing plays out? We've only got months left, even till his November 5 date that he keeps saying. He keeps pointing that out like it's going to be some profound thing. Well, election days are never that profound, no matter what. So, what do you think's going to happen in the near term?
Well, he told us in January 2021. I think it was January the 13th. I didn't go back to look at the specific date, but he told us in a speech that he said that this would be the most historic in your lifetime. It's your great grandchildren will be talking about it and beyond.
Wow.
And that was way back then. That was talking about this operation. And right now, Israel, what's going on in Israel and Iran? All right, everything's outlined in 2019 Army publications, the Special Operations Commands. Everything's outlined in these PDF files from the Army. .mil now. .mil. Here you go. The war, the Gaza and Egypt cross-border operations with Hamas. Everything's there. Everything's in a manual. It's in a publication. It shows you way back here what's taking place right now in military. So Israel, what does the Bible say in Zechariah chapter 14? It's all about what? Any nation against Israel will be what? Destroyed. Wiped out. All right. So, when you look at that and then you look at October the 7th and then you fast forward to today, October the 7th was a big anniversary, Yom Kippur, 50, and it was a 50th anniversary. What's 50 in the Bible represent? A jubilee, right?
Right.
And most jubilees in history have been a good thing for the Jewish people.
Yeah.
All right. So October the 7th, in 1 week's time, you had Thailand, Romania, Bulgaria, Japan, United States, Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, Canada, Sweden, Norway, United Arab Emirates. You had Belgium, Netherlands. I can't even name them all. And then you had Tunisia, Algeria, Nigeria. And then you had Russia, humanitarian aircraft in Israel in 1 week's time.
This list of names is what? This list of countries is what?
For foreign military that were in Israel after Yom Kippur in 1 week's time. All right, that ain't for Hamas. Get out of here. All right, so it's the trafficking, right? The subterranean conflict.
Wow.
That's what those army publications in 2019 are called. Subterranean conflict. The future of those. Well, that was 2019. What did the November and December articles, just this past November and December 2023, what did those articles say about Israel? The war has now gone to the what? The tunnels and the sewers. That's subterranean warfare. All right, it's way back here in Army publications in 2019. What's happening right now? Well, it's God's what? Chosen land, God's chosen country, Christ, Jerusalem, right? So when you look at this, but then you hear Kamala in October said what? No U.S. troops will be in Israel. Why do I have U.S. troops in Israel aircraft before and after she said that? Also, fast forward, just recently, right? Just recently, what did Kamala and Biden say? This is the optics, but here it is, like comms and optics. They said, oh, Israel and Netanyahu is going to face harsh consequences if they attack Rafah. The same day and same week, guess what Biden administration is doing? They're sending Netanyahu and Israel 1,800, 2,000-pound bombs. So that's like saying, hey, I want to hurt myself and giving someone a tool to hurt themselves. Like, that's stupid. You don't tell someone, hey, harsh consequences. Oh, by the way, here's you some bombs, right? That's stupid. That don't even make sense. That's where you have to use the word stupid. It don't make any sense. Then Iran attacks Israel, right? 300 missiles. What does Biden say? We stand with Israel, whatever they want to do. How can people not see? Well, then what happens? Israel goes in Iran and takes out a nuclear site just a couple days ago, right? So if people have put all that stuff, that's the distraction, that's the optics, but it also is the optics showing you Biden ain't real, and the Biden administration don't have a clue what's going on because they're not real. Army publication, baby, 2019 outlines it. All right. Do you believe in the support the military? I tell people, then you better start supporting what's in military law, military orders, and military publications first.
And are all those countries that you listed, are they still there doing subterranean warfare, or did that come and go? All those countries.
They're in and out of, right now, they're in and out of Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Egypt, and then also they're all around Jordan, Lebanon, Turkey. They're running a lot of places, a lot of the same aircraft, but not as many as it was. No.
Well, I mean, does that mean we're close to a mop up over there? Or?
Well, yeah, I mean we're getting closer because Iran is the one outlier that President Trump only dealt with via what? Policy. and his executive order, the sanctions on that. And he also talked about what people forget about the Iran deal that Obama made that was not good, right? That President Trump hammered all the time. See, people forget about what was back here is now what's going on right now. And I hate that it's that way. I wish we were always in live time, but we're not, unfortunately, because so much stuff has festered. It's built up in every facet. So they're cleaning out all these different places. But Iran is the one outlier that President Trump didn't deal with as far as the president of Iran, right? The people. So that's one country that you never saw a lot of visuals with President Trump. So that's going to be.
Is he going to, in order to be who he is, does he end up having to have Iran openly capitulate too somehow? Is that in the cards?
Well, I think, you got to clean out everything first. You got to clean out all the stuff that we know about with the underground bases in Iran. They have some of the biggest and I mean, there was some stuff they had that should it'll make the hair on the back of a turtle shell stand up. And people know there ain't no hair on a turtle. Some people don't understand colloquials, but there was some stuff over in Iran that should have really scared some people, what they've seen in the past 20, 30 years, what they was boistering about. But you take care of that, and then President Trump says what? I will prevent World War III. So we know there's something that's gonna visually play in front of the people that aren't looking at laws and orders and regulations and military. The people who just choose to keep watching mainstream, that don't want to read, don't want to understand, there's something's going to be displayed to them that makes President Trump come in like the hero and stop World War III. And also, I will end the war in Ukraine and Russia in less than 24 hours. So something's going to happen where he comes in and saves the day. So if you want to be on the peaceful side and the side that I'm on, then here's your laws and orders, and here's the operation and why it had to look this way. If you want to stay frantic and scared and all that other stuff, well, you're already there. So
hey, tell people where to go and get your documents again, or your book. Go ahead and tell people how to get your book and those documents. There's that one. Talk about that for a second.
So so the book is available on rattletrap1776.com. You'll click on see more gear, and it'll take you over to the Shopify page. That's to purchase it through me. If you, I tell people all the time, and then Amazon, I forget about Amazon. Amazon is the #1 bestseller on Amazon. So there's Kindle if you just want it on your phone or your computer. And then there is a print version there. It's a little smaller font, not as big. It's not too small though, but that was try to condense, and the cost of it on Amazon was a lot more because of their print costs and their also shipping. But you can get it there. And then also, if you can't afford it, I tell people, if you can't afford it, I'm like President Trump now. If you can't afford something, now's not the time to do that. I have the documents.info that you can still get on there. They're dated.
There it is, right here. The documents.
I haven't updated the aircraft on there, so everything's a transfer. You go from there to read all the laws and orders, and then transfer over to my social media, like especially my Facebooks, where I post as much aircraft as I can on there. So it's a transfer kind of deal.
All right. Hey, Derek, thank you. This is really, really full of lots and lots of my. That's a lot in there, but I appreciate that so much. I know the people do very much. I feel much more educated. We're going to get running here. I got another show to do here this afternoon. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Derek. God bless you. A quick reminder that Kim Alexis, former supermodel Kim Alexis, will be with us tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. So be there. Don't miss that. It's going to be great. So, all right, Derek, thank you so much. I appreciate it very, very much. Have a great day, everybody.
Yes,
see you later then.
Well, I hope that was informative. I know I learned a lot, and I like that young man, Derek Johnson. Very smart. Okay. I'm going to have to pray on it to see if I can keep that video up. Georgia, your thoughts? You think it's safe enough to stay up? Anybody else's thoughts? Elizabeth Medlin, hi. God bless you too. You think it's okay? All right, I'm gonna keep it up, and we'll see what happens. I know that they talked about the oh, don't be sorry. No, I'm making the decision, so I'm just letting you influence me. No, I thought it would be all right. I think it would be all right. I know that they did talk about the T to the R to the A to the F to the F, if you know where I'm going. But all right. Well, I thought about putting it on private, but people wouldn't be able to view it. That's the only thing. Hi, Rubber Toe. Good to see you. Oh, you've seen him on YouTube? Okay. Jersey Joe. Michelle Books, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. And I love you too, Michelle's. Good to see you. I guess I could put the link for the show on. I'll have to go back and pull it up because I X'd out of there, but I could put the link up, but I think I'm gonna leave it up for a little bit and then see what happens. All right, everybody. I hope that you learned a lot. I'm gonna have to go back and look at my history because I was very taken aback. I guess I've been living in underneath a rock or something. I didn't know that there was another puppet state. I'm sure there's been several that I'm not aware of. I'm just like, wow. Jersey Joe says, "Be a rebel, Diamond." Okay. I'm gonna roll the dice. I'm going all in with a pair of deuces. With a pair of twos. All right, everybody. I hope you have a great and blessed rest of your evening. Thank you for Georgia. That's a good point. Every president has been a puppet. You're right. Did I get this off YouTube? I got it off of DuckDuckGo and Elijah Stream. I'm not sure if he's on YouTube or not, but I'm going to leave it up and we'll see what happens. That's all. Yeah. Good to see you, Diane. All right, everybody. Have a blessed rest of your evening. And God willing, and the creek don't rise, I'm going to see some of you tomorrow morning. Have a very blessed rest of your day.